All right, let's take a look at this project that we're going to be doing with the toolbox. It's a little bit difficult to understand, but if you understand the key things to it, then you'll be a lot better off when we go and do this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, look on the left side here. You can see this whole square. That whole square is what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a 36-inch by 36-inch piece of material. The first thing I would do is keep one of these 36 inches and then make sure that they're square to each other. So make sure this edge is square, make sure this edge is square, and so on. So make sure those edges are square. And then if we read over here, we can use 24 gauge. That's what we'll be using. 36 by 96 inch cold rolled sheet. That's what we have. And I shear them into 36-inch pieces and give them to each student. So the best way to start, if we're reading right here, it says right here, the dimensions of layout have been designed to eliminate as much waste as possible. The best way to start is with a 19 1/8 by 36-inch cut. So if we look at these top pieces, right, we got the body, tray handle, toolbox top 1, and toolbox top 2. Okay. What I did was I took just 19 1/8 and I'm going to shear this all the way off. Okay. You're going to have a big rectangle. Alright. So now I have that rectangle. That's what your first thing is going to do. This will give you all the long parts, such as the box bottom, right, the body, the tray bottom and sides. So here, the tray, the box tops right here, and the tray handle, which is right here in yellow. All right, the most efficient method, but that's not it. Sorry. So the ends can be cut out from so once you've done the 19 1/8 by 36, just leave it right there. Okay, don't mess with it yet. Next thing you want to do is shear a piece, and you got to make sure that that is on the edge. You got to make sure it's on the fence. You have to be perfectly square. Otherwise, you are in trouble and it's not going to work out. So the ends of your toolbox can be cut out from a 7-inch by 36-inch piece. So we're going to cut this right here. So ignore this fact right here that says strip yields 6 ends. Ignore that for now. Okay, so most of the other pieces, such as these ones down here, the tray ends, tray shelf, those are small pieces, so we can use scrap metal. However, I know some of us might screw up, so I give you a little extra. This white down here is extra. This pink right here is extra. You will be docked points if you have to ask beyond this amount, so keep that in mind. So you've cut this to 19 1/8. Next part is going to be shearing a whole piece. See all this pink? All that's going to be sheared, so you're going to have a 7-inch by 36-inch piece. Okay? So now we're going to start getting into what we're doing here. So I'm just going to look at the body, bottom, sides, ends, tray shelf. That all makes sense to me. Hopefully you guys can take a look at this and make sense of it as well. But I tried my best to make it as easy as possible to understand. So with the body, that part is going to be 19 1/8 by 14 3/4. So I'm going to take my 19 1/8 piece, that whole chunk right here, I'm going to shear it right here at 14 3/4. Okay, so I got 14 3/4. And now I'm going to label that with some Sharpie or something and call it the body, and I'm just going to set it aside. I'm going to label it with body, and I'm going to put my initials on there with Sharpie. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my ends from that 7-inch piece, that whole piece, remember? I'm going to cut 2 pieces, so I'm going to cut them to 6 inches, and they're going to be 7 inches wide. So that whole strip of 7 inches, I'm going to take them to the shear, and we'll cut it to 6 inches, and we'll cut it to 6 inches. I'm going to label those and put my initials on there. The tray shelf. So if we zoom in here on the left, the tray shelf is said to be a 1.5 inches by 5 inches. Okay, I've labeled it here, and it's hard to see when I zoom out, right? So right here, it's next to the ends. It's going to be cut off that 7-inch strip. We're going to be cutting it to 1/2 inch. So we're just going to be shearing off just a little bit, right? 1.5 inches we're going to cut off. 1.5 inches again, and then we'll just take the shear and butt up this little edge here and cut it to 5 inches. Okay, so we've got our tray shelf. Pretty small piece, not too hard. Then we have the tray. So the tray is right here after the body. So it says using the leftover pieces from your 19 1/8 by 36. So right now, the body would be gone. This body piece would have left us. It would have gone, okay? And we'd be left with this little strip of metal right here. Don't mess this up. If you do it the opposite way than what I'm showing you right now, you're going to screw it up, okay? Do not do it this way. Do it how I told you, right here. So you're going to take from, see how that works, right? Everything's going this way, up and down, okay? So with the tray, it says that it needs to be 8.5 by 18 3/4. So I'm going to shear off 8.5 inches. If you screw this up, you're going to need more material, and that's going to dock your grade. Can't screw it up. Okay, so tray is going to measure 8.5 inches. We're going to shear this piece right off right there. We're going to shear that off, and then we're going to measure 18 3/4. You gotta get these ones. All these need to be perfect. Okay, all these need to be perfect. So take a scribe, 18 3/4, mark it with a square, right? Mark it with a square. Make sure everything's square as you're going. And mark 18 3/4, nip that off. Okay, so you would cut 8.5. You'd be left with just this piece, but it's going to be 19 1/8. So I'm going to take the little bit off, right? I'm just going to take a little bit off and make it 18 3/4. All this is using the shear. All right, so that's the tray. We should have a tray now. Now the tray ends, okay? Tray ends, those are another small piece, so we're going to use that 7-inch strip that we cut out. We're going to go down here to the tray ends. I'll mark some dimensions here so you guys don't forget. I know that's kind of hard to see. So they're going to be 5 3/4 inches long by 2 5/8. You can always refer to this up here on that document that I have. Okay, so you are going to cut them to 2 5/8, and then you're going to trim them up real quick to 5 3/4, making sure that all these edges are flat against the fence. If you have even a 1/16 missing on that fence, that's going to screw up your whole project. Okay, so next piece, we have our tray handle. So let's take a look at that. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. So we have our tray handle. All right, let's go back down there. So the tray handle, we have our dimensions up here. 18 11/16, not 18 3/4. It's a little bit different. You see that? The yellow piece? That yellow piece, the tray handle, is going to be 18 11/16 by 2 1/4. Okay? So you're going to cut it to 2 1/4 first. All right? Then you're going to nip off just a little bit to 18 11/16. Okay? So you're going to be left with that yellow piece right there. All right, so next thing, the toolbox top. I call it part 1 or number 1 and number 2. You'll be able to tell which one is which when you look at the diagrams below on this document. So on number 1, we're going to be wanting a 19 1/8. So you can kind of see how you could screw some things up here. Okay, so we're going to want a 19 1/8 box top. That's going to be 4 1/8 wide. So I'm going to first shear off 4 1/8 inch, and then I'm done. I don't need to shear off anymore because that piece should have already been 19 1/8. If you do all this correctly, it's going to work really well. It's once you screw around with that 19 1/8 and you accidentally screw this up, that's when you're trying to fit that box top on top of your body, and then you're in a little bit of trouble. Okay, so the toolbox top number 2, that's going to be sheared off to 5 3/4, and you should have a tiny little bit left over. That tiny little bit is going to be 5/8 of an inch. If you get 5/8 of an inch, bravo, you did it right. However, you could be a little bit off, and that's totally fine. But that's going to get sheared off to 5 3/4. Just nip off this. Don't nip off the big chunk because you just can't. You want as much touching the fence as possible. Okay, so then that should be all done, and the next piece, you're done. Okay, so now you have all your pieces cut out. All right, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pieces. Okay, you can have body, tray handle, all that sort of thing. So now you're going to start to look into this piece. I'm going to double check that I'm still recording. I am. Good. All right, so this is what that's going to look like. So we're going to go into the same exact document, but over here. Okay, let's take a look at this. All right, flip that so it's a little bit easier to read. So we've cut out all our pieces. Now we can start looking at the diagrams. So this is going to tell you what is what. So on that 7-inch strip that we just cut, here's our box end. Okay, so our box end. Now you can read these dimensions. This is 2 inches. You're going to make a line. And then you're going to make another line at 2 inches up here. Okay, remember this, I know it's hard to see because it's a scan, right? We're 7 inches tall here. That's what we're trying to do. We're 6 inches wide. Take a look at those numbers. So we're going to be cutting off a piece right there. You can use the shear for this if you'd like. Just make sure you're lined up correctly. So use the shear. You wouldn't be on the fence then, right? You would not be on the fence. All right, so you trim those off, and then I would file the corners so that they're round. So take a file and file those around so you're not hurting yourself. Okay. So in the box, so you're going to see these are the box ends. You're going to file those ends right there. Okay. So remember, take a look at all these dimensions here. This is going to help you put your tray shelf on. Okay. Whenever you see a dotted line, well, I guess not on this one. But when you see a dotted line, most of the time it's going to say fold at a 90-degree angle, fold at this, fold at that. Usually a dotted line indicates that you are bending something, okay? So your box end, this is your location on where you're actually going to be putting this, right? Where are you going to be putting your shelf? So this part, the square part, right? That square part is going to be put on the box end in this location right here, okay? So you're going to go up from the bottom 3 inches. Okay, you're going to go out 3 inches, and I would chamfer that definitely so it doesn't. It's hard. It's easier to fit this piece in chamfering at that 45. That just means cutting at an angle right here a little bit. That helps it a lot. So back to what I was saying, the tray shelf, that's going to go up on that box end. You're going to go up 3 inches. You can see these lines now. 3 inches, then it says 3/4. Then it says 1 1/2. So start from the bottom, go up 3 inches, and make a scribed line right here. Okay? And then we want our top, this piece, or this piece right here, to be spot welded on there. All right? So it can hold this onto it. Okay? So spot weld those on first and then move on. I would like it if I can draft this real quick. I would like it if you had your box end just like this at 7 inches. Okay, and this is a side view. And then say we go up 3 inches. I want it to be spot welded. So it's going to come out about 3/4 of an inch. Okay. That's all it's going to look like. Okay. I'm going to switch to this and get to a different view here so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's do 7 inches by 6 inches. Double check that this is 6 inches wide. Well, let's make another rectangle real quick. 6 inches by 7. There we go. So you're going to have a box or a piece that looks like this. And I'm not going to do the other edge, but that's going to get sheared off. These will be done. Then you're going to travel up 3 inches. All right. And then you're going to be coming in, it says, if you look at here on the tray shelf, that you're going to be coming in 1/2 inch on each side. This should be 5 inches. So that should make sense. Now I'm going to take this, go 0.5 inches. This guy's going to be 0.5 inches. Why not, since we're here? Bring this down to 2 inches. Just so you can see what I'm talking about here. So I can delete that. Alright, so now we have our tray shelf. Okay, or a tray end. Okay, so I'm going to make that a group real quick. And I traveled 3 inches up, just like that. I want your tray shelf to look like this. So it's going to be 5 inches by 3/4. Well, just like that. Okay. And it's just going to barely be sticking out, but there's also going to be that tiny little piece that is right here. Okay. I want it to be spot welded like that. I don't want it to be the opposite way. I don't want it to look like this. Okay. I do not want it to look like that. I want it to be like that. And then I want these to be our rounded edges on top. Okay, I want those to be our rounded edges. Whoops. Screwing up right now. There. That should work. So I want that to be our rounded edge. You see that? So that's what I'm saying. So you're going to take this to the spot welder, and you're going to weld it so that the flange is facing down, and then you're going to spot weld it 1, 2, 3 times, just like that. You're going to make sure that it's about 3 inches tall. Deal? That's how you're going to do it. All right, let's get to the next thing. So you've got those all done. That's good. So you're going to fold that, right? You saw how I folded that. Now we've got this. Here, let's close that. Now we've got our tray box, our toolbox tray. Okay, and then let's see here. Toolbox tray right here. Okay, so now we have all these bend lines. All right, this is the confusing part of all of it. Don't look at the section of handle. This isn't a handle. This is the toolbox tray. If you have extra pieces, which you will, you can put in the partitions, but you do not have to. Partitions are just dividers for a toolbox. You would bend a little bit of a part and then spot weld it on there. That's all it takes. You don't have to. It's just an idea. Okay, so now we're looking at this, and your toolbox tray should be 18 3/4 long. Okay, from end to end, it should be 18 3/4, and it should be 8.5 inches wide. Now you have all these marks that you need to make, okay? So right here, you can see that we're going to be going in 1/2 inch, okay? Inside 1/2 inch, make a line all the way down. Make it with your scribe and take a square to it, make a 1/2 inch line all the way down, make a 1/2 inch line all the way down, okay? So next thing is this is going to be a quarter. So make 2 lines right here, make it a quarter, 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 and trim that little bit off right here. So it's going to be a 1/2 inch by a quarter. All right, now make all your lines. Make all these lines that you need. So this is going to starting up here. You're going to be a quarter down, and then you're going to go 1/8 inch. Okay, and you're going to make a line. Down here, you're going to go up, cut that off, and then go 1/8 inch from that cut. Okay, those are going to be where you're going to be cutting. So in order for this to work, if this is a 1/2 inch piece right here, you need to go from that part, go a 1/2 inch up here, 1/2 inch over here, connect those lines, cut with the tin snips, and you're good. Okay, so first thing you do is cut your notches. Cut those notches first. Then you go ahead and make your hems. Okay, so I'm going to take this 1/4 inch piece, I'm going to bend that all the way over. Okay, I'm going to take it on that green brake, or the orange one, I believe. The orange brake press, and I'm going to bend that as far as I can and then flatten it so that this part comes over here about. Okay, now I'm going to actually be bending that one too, down here, all the way over, flatten it. Next part, I'm going to be bending this up on the sides. Bend these up so they're 90 degrees. Alright, see it says fold flat to the outside, so you fold this the other way. So that's confusing, I know. It makes no sense, but I'll explain it. So I'll explain it in class. This is hard to understand. So you're folding it to the outside, you're not folding it into it. You're folding it the opposite way that you would bend this line. Okay? So now we bend our sides at 90 degrees. Now we're going to bend these, and these should connect. Those notches should connect. So that's what that looks like. Alright, so here's an idea of what a partition can look like. So just 1/8, 1/4 inch hem, and this little flange to spot weld onto. So that's the toughest one, I promise you. That's the toughest one. Okay, same thing with the toolbox tray. Just take a look at what the dimensions are, what you're doing here. It should say what you're doing, but I think they're just identifying that, you know, you're going to be folding this up, folding that up, folding these up, but you got to make the handle. The handle needs to be, you know, it needs to be graspable and not cut you. So you're going to be putting a hem right here. Okay. Same thing with this over here on your tray end piece. So you're going to put this piece right here. See, that's 5 3/4. See, that's 5 3/4. That's what's going on there. Okay, so you're going to spot weld that to those spots. The body is actually quite easy, but you need to make sure you do it right. Do not cut your notches out the wrong way. Okay, don't cut your notches out the wrong way. Take a look at how far they're going. 3 3/4. So from that 3 3/4, we're going 6 inches. From that 6 inches, we're going 5 inches. So one side is going to be taller than the other. It's not a 1/2 inch hem or bend line. Okay, it's 9/16. So just a little more, right? But it's a big deal. All right. Then we have our toolbox top. These ones you need to fold on top of each other. This one's kind of hard to understand. I totally get it. But fold this sucker on top of each other, and then you bend that one. Okay? I'll have to explain how that goes. So that's what you're doing. This is a big piece right here. You can see that this is 7/16. This is 17/32. What's a 30-second? Well, there's two 30-seconds in a 16th. Okay, so every 16th, count two 30-seconds, all right? So I'll just go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and then just right in the middle of that next one. That's how I do that. Okay, so these are going to get cut. And you can see this is part A for the box top, and this is part 1 and then part 2. Okay, so then this piece right here is going to be 7/32, 7/32. Okay, half of 7/32, or double of 7/32 is 7/16. So each one of these is going to be 7/32. Okay, and then you're going to get a perfect angle. This is huge. Don't make it a 90-degree angle. If you make it a 90-degree cut, it's going to be ruined. I promise you. Same thing over here. Take a look at your bend lines, understand what's going on. And this guy is going to get bent around just to cover your project. So that's kind of the gist of it. I'll go over it a little bit more in depth with the when we're in class. But I wanted to make a piece like this that just simplifies everything. You know, cut out all these parts first, then label them with your name on there because people are thieves, okay? And then go to your diagrams and start cutting them up, all right? So take your ends, start cutting them up. Take your tray shelf, start cutting it up, all right? And do all that. Spot weld the tray shelf and the ends together. Round that over. Read these plans, understand the plans, and you'll be okay. Okay? All right. I think I've covered just about everything that I need to. Hopefully we can post this somewhere, or I will bring it to class and we can show it to everyone. All right. Thank you.